would like to invite you to travel with me to one of my favorite places here on the Arabian Peninsula. Imagine we are standing on top of a sand dune. There's a scorching heat, around 40 degrees. We can see a few camels on the horizon. And there's a breeze in the necks. And we can hear a few birds as well. We are with a group of cruise tourists that arrived in the morning in the port. So we just want to take a group photo when suddenly a phone rings. Dring, 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 dring. The German tourist picks up the phone and answers in German. Ja, hallo? Wer ist da? Wir sind gerade in Dubai. Which means, hello? We are in Dubai. No. We are not in Dubai. Yesterday he was in Dubai. The day before he was in Germany. And now we are in Sharkia Sands, in beautiful Oman. This was one of the decisive moments when I realized there's an issue with time-space compression. Different destinations are packaged and compressed within space, and the tourists, they travel within a very short time. I remember the first time when I traveled as a child. I was around 6 years old. My mom took me to the bus station, and I traveled on my own for around 4 hours from Berlin to Bavaria. This time was very decisive for me, and I realized I enjoy traveling and discovering the world. In the following decades, I traveled to different beautiful destinations. First, of course, with my parents, but then I lived in Guadeloupe, which is in the Caribbean. Then I lived as well in France. I lived in Egypt, in the UAE, in France, and in beautiful Oman for 17 years, which was kind of my second home. I'm a social scientist, a cultural geographer, and I've done extensive research on the Arabian Peninsula, on the impacts of cruise tourism on local communities and the tourist experiences. I have interviewed a large number of people, cruise tourists, individual tourists, and group tourists, around 100, and I've conducted an extensive, large survey among more than 1,000 tourists who arrived in the port in Muscat. And on the other hand, I conducted research within the local community, shop vendors, shop owners, but as well business owners in the desert, and Bedouin camp owners, and local residents. And I realized that the way we are traveling needs to change. We need to rethink the way we travel towards more compassion with communities, more empathy, collaboration, instead of and beyond economic terms and financial gains. Yeah, the topic is very close to my heart, I have to say. It took me 10 years to discover different small details as well, and which finally led me as well to write a book. So imagine last year, 1.4 billion people traveled around the globe, which is approximately the equivalent to the population in China. So let's speak about cruise tourism, one of my favorite topics. It's still a niche, tourism. However, it's expanding and growing rapidly. In 1980, there were just 1.4 million people traveling with a cruise liner. In 2006, there were already 15 million people traveling with a cruise liner. In 2011, there were already 20 million people traveling with a cruise liner. And last year, 30 million people traveled with a cruise liner. On the other hand, the scale of the ships became larger and larger. In the past, there were just 400 people on board a ship. Now there are 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 more people, plus crew members on board. And the time we spend on board the ship has decreased as well. It's just between 5 to 7 days. The cruise became a kind of destination, a floating city, a mega ship, where the destination we travel to is not really needed sometimes. And on the other hand, cruise travel, well, it's part of globalization. We want to have everything and now. And within a very short time, spending in so many different destinations to get 4 destinations just for the price of one. And to increase our own social status so that we can say, oh, we just ticked the bucket list. On the other hand, the cruise ship itself became kind of a cozy community where we can spend time with like-minded people. We enjoy the same food. For example, there are cruise liners where there's only German. Well, the language is German, and you can eat as well German bread, brown bread. You can drink beer as much as you like, and, for example, Black Forest take. And you enjoy similar leisure activities. So it's a cozy community of like-minded people. What are the impacts on local communities? Usually, the time is very limited as well when people arrive in the destination. A few hours are spent and then usually in a rush. For example, in Sumatra, which is located just opposite to the cruise liner port in Muscat, some tourists were even carrying their water bottle with them and rushing through the souk without really recognizing the products on the sides. I discovered in my research that 40% of the tourists that are surveyed didn't spend anything, 0. And the rest, around 20 euro, 10 euro, for small items like postcards, kitchen magnets, or pashmina scarves. On the other hand, group tourists and individual tourists that I interviewed, and I even walked with them through the souk to see how they experienced the place, they had time to dwell in space, to sit down, to exchange thoughts with a vendor who was selling, for example, frankincense, one of the main products you can buy, traditional products in Sumatra. And I remember one lady, she was traveling with a group, she told me, when we arrived, we received rose water and we left with frankincense, the smell of frankincense. Maybe you know frankincense is one of the beautiful products that you can buy in the souk. However, this product usually is not seen by cruise tourists because it needs interpretation and time. It's not obvious. And time is usually limited. There's an Arab proverb that says, where there's haste, there's regret. But where there's time, there's peace and safety. Imagine one day there were 3,000 people passing in front of them along the main street in the souk. And the vendor told me that he was completely desperate what to do. And I remember another time when I was walking along the main street. Suddenly a lady was screaming, I need to get out here. It's too hot. It was very sticky around noon. So I rushed to her and I asked her, can I help you? She was panicking because she was afraid not to find the exit to get back to the bus, the shuttle bus that was leading her back to the ship. So I guided her to the bus, to her community. She was so relieved to be back and to travel back to the cruise. Maybe, and this is as well one of my concerns or my thoughts, there's a necessity to reduce the number of megaships arriving in destinations. We need more compassion for the local community. We need a quota and a fund for the community and an involvement of different stakeholders, including as well women. Next time, maybe you will be the ones who will search for an exit to get back to your community. Then you will have the choice. Either you will stay and dwell in space and discover the details of the community and the destination, or you will rush back to your community and to the safe haven that may be there. However, the choice will be yours the next time you travel. Thank you.